Hey guys, this is your host Eric. Today we are going to watch drama genre movie called Sunflower. Spoilers ahead, turn on your subtitle, I greatly appreciate your support. Enjoy the video. Sunflower starts with a scene of a man named Tasig, who just got out of jail after 10 years. Tasig is on his way to his hometown, where he makes a list of things he wants to do when he gets out of jail and crosses them off. When he does, Tasig heads to a diner called Sunflower, where he plans to meet the owner, who is his adoptive mother. The woman isn't there, though, and she won't be back until the evening. So he drew the daughter of the diner owner, who told him to go to the public bath first and come back later. After that, Tasig goes to a public bathhouse and crosses out more of the things he's going to do in his book. When Tasig gets there, he seems confused about how to open the locker to store his things. So, a guard gets angry because he thinks Tasig is playing with the key on purpose. The guard man picked on Tasig because he looked like a nerd. But when Tasig takes off his clothes, the man sees all the tattoos on his body and gets the feeling that Tasig is a gangster. At the same time, some gangsters were seen picking on a girl on the side of the road somewhere else. The men of Chong, Mu, and Yonggi, who run the city as gangsters, are the thugs. Not far from them, two police officers were seen on patrol, but they didn't care and just stayed in their car. Tasig went up to Chung Mu in a nightclub, where he was, to say hello to an old friend. Chung Mu seems to have a lot of respect for Tasig, since gangster leaders like Chung Mu don't like him. This shows that Tasig isn't a random person. It turns out that Tasig was once a well-respected gangster in the city. Yogi looks just as reluctant as Chong Mu when Tasig comes to. Even though Yonggi is nice to Tasig when they meet, he tells his men to keep an eye on him while he is in town. After seeing some old friends, Tasig finally goes back to the Sunflower restaurant. There, he meets the owner, a woman who is happy to see him. His adoptive mother is so glad to see him get out of prison after being there for so long. Even though Tasig is not her own child, the woman seems to love him as much as if he were. Then, Tasig apologizes to his mother for what he did in the past. And his mother says that she has forgiven him for a long time. Even though her mother is fine with Tasig living with them and seems to really love him, he just doesn't accept Tasig's presence for sure. She tells him straight out that she doesn't like him and thinks he's a weak man because he's so geeky. That night, Tasig is going to sleep, determined to be a better person and keep his promise to his mother. He won't cry, drink alcohol, or fight anymore. The day after, Joe PSU, who is running for office in the next general election, is seen campaigning in the market and making promises to traders through the grapevine so that they will vote for him. He is really a gang that wants to take over. On the other hand, Tasig is seen at the police station signing a parole report that says he will go back to prison if he commits another crime. Minsu, one of the police officers, talks to Tasig and tells him he should leave the city because the people there don't like him because he caused trouble a few years ago. Tasig, on the other hand, tries to show Mensuk that he has changed and will become a better person. Even Tasig plans to get rid of all of his tattoos to show how much he wants to change and become a better person. But Tasig couldn't do what he wanted to do because it cost him a lot of money to get rid of all the tattoos on his body. After that, Ponzu's adoptive mother shows up and tells him that she doesn't agree with his plan to buy her restaurant and turn it into an upscale area for his own benefit. She then tells PSU that if his thugs keep making trouble at her Sunflower restaurant, she will get even with him. The next day, Tasig finally gets a job at an auto repair shop as a mechanic. One day, Sukuk and his partner were on patrol when they saw Sig, who was so serious and hardworking at his job. Then, Min Sukuk tells his partner about Tasig Pass. Tasig Pass was a bad guy even when he was in school, and Min Sukuk was one of the people Tasig bullied. Minsu also said that Chung Mu and Yonggi were nothing like Tae when they were younger. A few years ago, a man named Chodo Pil was in charge of the city's gangs. Chung Mu and Young used to be his men. But because Tasig is always making trouble, Dope Pill finally steps in and unexpectedly tells his men to kill him. It turns out that Tasig is too tough to fight, as he can easily knock out Dope Pill's men, and even Opil. So Sig needs to be in jail because he killed someone. After what happened, Chong Mu and Yogi joined the gang and took over as leaders. Son, his partner, then go to Tasig's place of work and meet his boss. Then, Min Sauk tells his superiors who Tasig is. But Tasig's boss doesn't seem to care that Tasig has been labeled a repeat offender, since he has worked hard and well so far. The next day, Tasig goes to the Jews course to sign up for an English class. One of the teachers at the course seems to know Tasig from when they both went to the same school. The woman then asks how Tasig is doing, and the two can be seen having a casual conversation. On his way home, Tasig is attacked by a thug named Song Jin. Song Jin has a crush on Hee-ju and is jealous of how close he is to the girl he loves. Then, Song Jin takes Tasig to a warehouse that is empty and runs into him there. Tasig has decided not to fight anymore, so when Song Jin and his men beat him up, he doesn't fight back. But when Tasig's clothes get ripped off by accident, Shang-Jin and his minions are very surprised to see him without clothes. Kai Jie's attitude changed a little bit after what happened. She took care of Tasig, too. Elsewhere, PSU is seen partying because he got the most votes in the general election. Now that PSU has been sworn in as a government official, he plans to give his trusted henchmen control of the biggest nightclub in town. Changmu and Jangi are both excited about the plan and are trying to win the trust of the mafia boss. But first, Ponzu asks for something. Whoever gets rid of the Sunflower restaurant will be at the top of his or her game. When Changmu heard this, he told his men to tear down the Sunflower restaurant right away, so the owner would be willing to sell Pu the land in the restaurant. But Changmu runs into Tasig there, so he tells his men to get out of there quickly. Then, Changmu apologizes to Tasig for not knowing he was there. After that, Changmu goes straight to Yonggi and yells at him for not telling him about Tasig, now living in the Sunflower Re. Tasig, meanwhile, gives his mother a pair of shoes and the Jew a camera with his first paycheck from working at a car repair shop for a month. When Tasig's mother came to visit him in prison a few years ago, she told him that the small notebook he always carried was a gift from her. Since then, Tasig has always written in the notebook about what he did in prison and what he wants to do when he gets out. Jew finds the notebook by accident and she then writes that one of Tasig's plans after getting out of prison is to go on a picnic with them. Tasig, who is Jewish, and his mother have a picnic and take pictures of themselves looking like a happy little family. One night, Tasig runs into Bong Jin, who used to be his friend and is now the driver for PSU. Yoon Jin says that PSU wants to build a big mall in the area, but he can't because Taig's adoptive mother doesn't want to sell her land to the Sunflower restaurant. Then, Bong Jin asks Tasig to be more careful because PSU is a dangerous map. On the other hand, CHNG Mu's men saw Sig and Bong Jin having a serious conversation and told CHNG Mu. When Chungmu and Yonggi heard this, they thought that Bong Jin was trying to recruit Tasig on PSU's orders. Then, they come up with a plan to ruin Sunflower restaurant and take. The day after, Changmu and his men broke into the Sunflower's restaurant and tried to force Tasig's mother to sell it to P. Hee-jae, who just got home from school, uses the camera to hit Changmu. She tells Tasig what happened and what Tasig gave her. By the time Tasig and the Jew get to the Sunflower restaurant, Changmu and his crew have already left, leaving their mother to clean up the broken-down restaurant on her own. After helping his mother clean up the mess in the restaurant, Sig goes to Changmu and asks to be reunited with Ponzu. After meeting Ponzu, Tasig begs him not to bother his adoptive mother at Sunflower restaurant. Su offers Tasig a job because she knows he used to work for a gang. Tasig politely turns down Su's offer, saying that he's happy with his current job. A little, because nobody had ever been brave enough to turn down his offer before. Then, Pew came up with a plan to frame Tasig and send him back to prison. Pew then tells his men to attack Tasig's place of work, a car repair shop, to start a fight, and will tell the police about it. The day after, the thugs beat up and storm the auto shop where Tasig works. They also didn't think twice about beating up Tasig's boss. On the other hand, PSU tells the police that Tasig is taking part in a riot. But Tasig is able to keep himself in check and doesn't start a counterattack, so the police don't come and get him. And Su's plan does not work at all. One night, Song Jin goes to the Sunflower restaurant and tells a Jew that his older brother Du Pil was killed by Tasig years ago. When the Jew heard this, he was shocked and angry at Tasig. She then asked her mother why she had given her daughter to the person who had killed her own son. Jew's mother says that Tasig apologized for killing Du Pil while he was on his knees and crying. She decides that Tasig is not a bad person because of this, so she forgives him and takes him in as her own son. When Jew hears his mother talk about Tasig, he finally gets it. Jew then apologizes to Jew for killing Du Pil and says he will get rid of it. What Jew asked Sig today was to stay with them. Jew says that she has forgiven him and wants to thank him for killing her brother, who was always rude and beat his mother. All of it. The next day, Tasig's adoptive mother comes to PSU and threatens to tell everyone that he ordered Dope Hill to kill Tasig years ago. She has proof that could send PSU to prison for this crime. The young Jin who overheard the conversation then told Tasig to be careful because Su will do anything to get what he wants, even kill people who stand in his way. PSU starts his plan by telling his men to attack Hee-jae, who was crossing the street, as a way to get things going. She got hit in the head with something hard, so she had to stay in the hospital for intensive care. Because of what happened to her daughter, Tasig's adoptive mother decides to sell Sunflower restaurant to PSU to keep her whole family safe. After that, Tasig goes to PSU and tells everyone that his adoptive mother has agreed to sell Sunflower restaurant and they will all move out of there without warning. PSU wants Tasig's right hand to be paralyzed so that he can no longer fight. Jin was the one who killed Sig by cutting the vein in his right hand and stabbing him. But it turns out that Jin's non-fat only hurt Tasig's right hand. so he can still use his right hand the way he always does. Tasig then tells Hee-jae and her mother that he will always protect them. Even though his Ponzu is now the Sunflower restaurant, he still seems to want to get rid of Tasig's adoptive mother. He then tells Yoongi to kill her and gets proof that he was involved in the attempt to kill Tasig many years ago. Yoongi acts quickly, killing Tasig's adoptive mother and making it look like she killed herself. Then, when his mother, whom he loved very much, dies, Tasig is very sad. At first, he thought that his mother had killed herself, but it seems that he found a clue in his mother's room, Yoongi's earrings. So he finally understood that Ponsu had told Yogi to kill his mother. Now that Tasig knows this, he can't keep his. He cried and drank until he was drunk because the loss of his mother, whom he loved so much, was too much for him to handle. On the other hand, PSU and the rest of his group celebrate their success in getting the Sunflower restaurant and making plans to build a mall in an upscale area. However, they are shocked when they hear Taeg crying. The man said that since his mother had died, he had broken his promise to her and would now kill everyone in the place. Then Tasig told Jonan to leave unless he wanted to die. Even though he's alone, Tasig kills all of Ponsus's men, including Chong, Mu, and Yoongi, until he kills Fu and sets his nightclub on fire. While badly hurt and sitting in a blazing fire, Tasig thinks about the good times he had with his mother and Ju. Eventually, Tasig dies in the fire. At the end of the movie, we see that Jae has healed from her injuries and is now the smartest student in the math department, just like she was. Iju talks about the good times she had with her mother and Tasig. The lesson of this movie is that you should never give up or be afraid to say you're sorry after making a mistake. If you do something with all your heart, including saying you're sorry, you'll bring happiness to yourself and others, just like Tasig, who is determined to say he's sorry and change after killing someone. People around him give him chances because he really wants to change his life for the better. We really appreciate you watching. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel with the notification bell because it is really important for us. Thank you.